Let me introduce you to one of the most iconic villains in the Legend of Zelda series, Ganondorf. The Demon King Ganondorf is the final boss in the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and is quite difficult to defeat if you don't have the right tools. In this video, I'm going to take you through how I defeated the menace himself without one of the most important tools of all, vision. That's right, I'm going to attempt to defeat all 3 stages of Ganondorf consecutively while being blindfolded. So sit back, grab some munchies, and let me take you to when I thought of this brilliant idea. I wonder what I should do for my next YouTube video. Oh well, I'll just go in the pool for now. I'll think about it later. Wait, I should be Ganondorf blindfolded. As with all good challenges, I had to make a set of rules to make this equally fun and difficult. If not, there really wouldn't be a point to doing this, so I came up with the first rule pretty easily. Because I'm too friggin' lazy to learn new skills, I decided to not use glitches. No, but seriously, glitches would make this way too easy and way too broken. I also decided on a few other rules to make this challenge interesting. I decided on no armor, no healing, no stat buffs, no fairies, no auto build, and of course, no vision. Sounds intense, right? Well, I had to cut myself a little slack, so I didn't pull my hair out. I decided to give myself 20 hearts, which is half of the max you can get in Tears of the Kingdom, and for reference, this is about 3 hits from Ganondorf. I also gave myself as many shields as needed, even though I would only need 1. On top of that, I gave myself the Master Sword, because, well, it's the frickin' Master Sword. And finally, I allowed the use of the 5 sages in Phase 2, although I didn't use any of their abilities. With these rules, I was feeling, to be honest, not that confident. But I thought they were fair enough, and that was good enough for me. With that, I decided to start strategizing. I booted up Tears of the Kingdom and started experimenting. I began by fighting Ganon normally and listening for the sound cues. I found a couple good ones, but nothing crazy. One was that he usually stopped walking before attacking with his sword, which didn't help very much. I decided I wanted a taste of what this challenge would be like, and holy shit. I felt about as helpless as a turtle on its back. Only relying on sound in your gut is very unsettling the first time around. My first couple tries, I wasn't even close. Luckily, switching between blindfolded and no blindfold helped me uncover many key components to Phase 1. First of all, I discovered he starts the fight the same way every time. He walks towards Link, stops, and swings his sword horizontally. Because of this, you can easily get a flurry rush every time if you time your backflip right. After he does this first attack, he pretty much always backflips away and goes for an attack where he runs at you with his sword. Now, there are sound cues for this, but there's one problem. Whenever Ganondorf runs at you with the sword, there's a 50-50 chance he does either a sweeping attack or a vertical slash. So was the only option to rely on luck and take the risk of getting hit? Well, no actually. Here's where the shield comes into play. If you guess backflip and he does a vertical slash, you take damage. But if you guess side hop and he does a sweeping attack, your shield will block it. This was clutch because no matter which attack he did, I was safe as long as I side hopped. Another thing I discovered was that he has sound cues for specific attacks that range from voice lines to grunting to his robe moving. Finally, the last sound cues that I found would be key to defeating Ganon blind. These were the sound cues for his different weapons. In case you didn't know, Ganon has quite the arsenal. He has a sword, a club, a spear, and a bow. After attacking a couple times with one weapon, we'll usually switch weapons. This is a whooshing sound followed by one of 3 sounds. A short metallic sound for the club, a longer metallic sound with a spin for the spear, and a short plastic click for the sword. But Dan, you said one of 3 sounds and there's 4 weapons. What about the bow? Well, the bow only comes out in one scenario in phase 1. That scenario is after Ganon does his big gloom attack with his club. And if you stay in the air after the attack is done, that's when he brings out the bow and tries to shoot you. So I didn't need to worry about the bow queue. With all of this big brain knowledge, I was able to beat phase 1 blindfolded pretty easily with my armor infused master sword. Now, it was time for the real challenge to begin. There was one goal for this day: beat phase 1. I knew that I could do it, but if I could beat it consistently, it would make the rest of the fight easier. Not only because I could get more decent attempts in, but also because I wanted to keep more health going into the following phases. So I got to work and grinded out attempts. At about 35 minutes into recording, I got it for the first time with all of the rules I had set.
Let's go, phase 1, baby.
This filled me with a sense of confidence. If I could beat phase 1 this fast, the next phases would be light work, right? That's what I thought, so I started to strategize for phase 2. Boy, was I wrong. In case you didn't know already, phase 2 brings in 4 extra Ganons. Now, if you can dodge and avoid them all for about a minute, then the sages will distract them and you can just focus on the real Ganon. There's one teeny tiny problem though. How the hell am I supposed to avoid 5 Ganons for a minute blind? You would have to either have a damn good strategy or just get damn lucky. And when I mean lucky, I mean really lucky, because they all do different attacks with their swords. They can stop you from moving by body blocking you. They can be targeted if they suddenly hit you or you somehow flurry rush them, all the while real Ganon is attacking you. And there's like a bajillion noises between the sages, wind blurring, gloom, and whatever the hell else was going on, because I literally had no idea. Whew. Sorry, I needed to get that off my chest. One more thing. You know the sound cues where Ganon spoke before attacking? Yeah, well, say goodbye to those, because he decided to shut his mouth for some reason in phase 2. I was actually lost. It just did not seem possible to stall for that long. I had had enough of the shenanigans that were phase 2, so I decided to work on phase 1 a bit more. I proceeded to beat him first try, which was pretty nice. Then again, then 2 more times. I was pretty happy with myself that I figured out all the patterns, and I think I developed a better sense of hearing as well because of how closely I had to listen sometimes. But since I had figured out phase 1, I could ignore it no longer. The dread of phase 2 would begin. You know how I said I think I developed a better sense of hearing? Well, I was right. On day 3, I went straight to phase 2 and I heard the different weapon sound cues for the first time. At the very beginning of phase 2, I discovered Ganon brings out one of his 3 melee weapons and attacks Link immediately. Hearing this and getting a flurry rush would mean I was one healthy step closer to whooping his ass. With this in mind, I decided to develop strategies to help me stall just long enough after this initial flurry rush. The first strat I came up with was the rocket shield strat. Here, I would use my rocket shield right after I flurry rushed Ganon and fly forward in hopes that the fake Ganons would lose interest in me. This didn't work. The next strat I came up with was the Topaz bow strat. With this one, I would use the rocket shield, but I would go into bullet time and shoot Topaz down on the Ganons to deal damage and disperse them. This actually didn't work either. I was stumped. I had no idea what I could do except spam side hop and hope for the best. So I did exactly that, and got absolutely nowhere. I did about an hour's worth of attempts and did not progress at all. I was starting to lose hope that this challenge was possible, but there was something I could still do that I have not mentioned yet. This was fusing with the Master Sword. There was just no way I could see myself defeating Ganondorf in all 3 phases, let alone in 2, with just the Master Sword. So I allowed myself to fuse a white-maned Lionel Mace Horn. This made it so each phase would take 2 less flurry rushes. With my mind at ease, I was motivated to do some more attempts. I immediately saw results, and about 10 minutes in, I had a run that was 1 flurry rush away from phase 3. This was mainly because of luck and good listening though. I was able to actually hear some of the sound cues for attacks, and the fake Ganons decided to leave me alone. I was glad that I got close, but I knew that this was all luck. I gave it a few more tries after this and I didn't get any further, so I decided to come back the next day with a fresh perspective. Going into day 4, I was determined. If I wanted to beat this challenge, I had to make some progress today, damn it. And that meant finding a way to beat phase 2. I started grinding out attempts and just tried to listen and occasionally side hop, just to be safe. And after about 30 minutes, this happened.
Oh my gosh. Phase 3. Oh my gosh.
I did it! I beat this stupid phase after so much freaking pain! Let's freaking go! I'd like to thank my mom, my dad, and my wonderful friends, because I know I'd never be able to do it without you guys. I just thank you guys so much. Sadly, this excitement was short-lived, since I died immediately in phase 3. But I knew this challenge was possible now. With that in mind, I decided it would be best to start practicing phase 3, so when I got through phase 2 again, I'd be prepared. Up to this point, I hadn't really experimented with phase 3, so most of it was completely new. Some key things I figured out were that he loves to backflip and switch weapons after almost every attack. He now has a bunch more gloom projectile attacks, and his attacks are so much more unpredictable and harder to flurry rush, especially because you have to flurry rush his flurry rush. On the right side, you could always hear what weapon he switched to all the time since there wasn't as much noise. All of the gloom projectiles can be reflected back at Ganon with the Master Sword as well. One thing that took some getting used to was his new bow attack in phase 3. Here, gloom approaches you from all sides, and he shoots 3 gloom arrows shortly after. The easiest way to deal with this was to do a mid-charge spin attack and side hop to avoid the arrows. While trying to get back to phase 3 to practice, an idea popped into my head.
That's low-key smart.
I finally thought of something for phase 2 that might actually work consistently. The plan was simple. No, it wasn't simple, but bear with me here. After the initial flurry rush of phase 2, I would use the rocket shield. When I heard the beep from the rocket, I would pull out my paraglider. Now I would wait to float to the ground or wait to be shot. From here I would target and wait for either someone to hit me or a flurry rush, whichever came first. I would then retarget and repeat twice more. It was very likely at this point that the real Ganon would be the only one attacking me. I found success in this, and I immediately knew this challenge would come to an end soon. So you know how I just told you about this elaborate, consistent strat in phase 2? Well, forget everything I said about it because that didn't work. If anything, it made everything more confusing. I tried to work with it to start day 5 and it was just not the play. So I completely ignored it and I ended up getting phase 2 for the second time. But once again, I only got a couple hits before I died in phase 3. Since the day before I got a bit distracted from phase 3 with this so-called consistent strat for phase 2, I definitely needed to practice phase 3. And with that, I now present to you a rage compilation by yours truly.
What the f- Such bullshit. Rah! Bro, I can't hear. What is going on? Be consistent.
Day 6. I don't know what it was, but something felt different about today. Different in a good way. I started out this day with some attempts in hopes I'd get lucky, and about 15 minutes into attempts, I had a run going. It went past phase 2, and I hadn't taken a single hit from the Demon King. Phase 3 started off with a broken shield and a mistimed spin attack. Not a great start. I then got slapped around a bit, hit some gloom balls at him, got slapped around some more, and perfectly reflected his bow attack. This was the most damage I had dealt to Ganon yet. What proceeded in the next minute was very disappointing. I trapped myself in a corner and died. The end. Nah, I'm just kidding. but I was very disappointed with this unlucky run. That wasn't gonna stop me though. I decided to practice phase 3 to prevent this from happening again, and I actually got it on the first try. Now that I had finally beaten all 3 phases individually, it was time to put them all together. I got multiple good runs that took me past phase 2. I was feeling it. I knew I was close to finally beating him. But then, about an hour into recording, I had the run. It started out pretty uneventful, with me flurry rushing 2 out of his first 4 attacks. I then got 1 flurry rush and missed a bunch more. Not the best, but I got him after his club attack, no damage taken. Phase 1 down. To start out phase 2, he brought out his spear. After getting the initial flurry rush, I implemented a strat I used when I was trying to practice phase 3. All I did was I walked towards Ganon and side hopped, since he attacks right away if you get too close to him. So I got another flurry rush almost immediately and got hit by one of the fake Ganons. Luckily, they decided to not bother me after this, and I was able to get 2 nice flurry rushes. Phase 2 down, and I was still basically full health. In phase 3, I was locked in. I was not taking defeat this time around. I got 2 spin attacks with the gloom projectiles, and I only took 1 heart of damage to start out. I then got my first flurry rush, and out of all the attacks, it was a sword attack, which, remember, is all luck. This was huge. I then barely avoided this club attack and got my second flurry rush. With everything I hit him with, I knew he was on his last leg. And that's when this happened.
Yes! Let's go! We did it! We beat Ganondorf blindfolded. Oh! Took us almost a week, but we did it.
That's right. I defeated Ganondorf blindfolded in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. There's only one thing left to do now. Beat this stupid dragon and get Zelda back. Now sadly, I didn't do this blindfolded, but if you want to see me beat the game start to finish blindfolded, hit that like button. And for more content like this, feel free to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out and lets me know to make more content. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Doses!